Welcome back, guys. Week 17 of our NFL season is in the books, and we have conquered the reigning NFC Champs to keep our one-seed hopes alive. Before we get started, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notifications down below, and let's get straight into talking about what happened in this last game. We had a tight contest throughout the majority of this clash, but we pulled away as we entered the fourth quarter, which would end with us taking the victory 37-23 on the road. Now let's start with discussing this highly touted Philadelphia offense. We knew the main man we had to game plan around was MVP candidate Jalen Hurts. He has such an impressive skill set with both his throwing and running ability, and he did well against us on both fronts. He took off on 5 separate occasions in which he averaged 9 yards a carry, and then in the passing attack, he added on another 150 yards with a score as well. But his kryptonite today was Marco Wilson. Our young star corner was great in coverage. He completely shut down his responsibilities on the day, and when they tested him, he made them pay as he jumped the throw to pick off Hurts twice. One of them preventing a 2-minute drill by the Eagles at the end of the first half, and the other came on just Philly's second drive where he got the ball and took it 43 yards to put the first touchdown on the board of this game. The pick six was not reserved for Arizona, however, as with the Cardinals in prime position to run the clock out on the half, it was Terrell Edmunds who came away with a massive interception which he would take back 76 yards for the score, which would tie this game up with just 16 seconds left in the half. That is more than enough time, though, when you have a guy like Hollywood Brown on the roster. They would take a deep shot with 8 seconds left, and he would come down with it as they got the timeout off with 1 second left, which would allow them to kick the last-second field goal before the break. And this was just the start of Hollywood's dominance, as he would not only come away with yet another bomb, but he would bring in another 2 receptions to total over 130 yards on the day. Back on the Philadelphia side, we knew Hurts wanted to keep feeding his main guy, A.J. Brown, and while he made some impressive grabs on the day, we did an incredible job keeping him in check as he finished with just 40 yards on the day. And his partner in crime, Devontae Smith, was also handled pretty well as he only bested his counterpart by 6 yards, but it would be Smith who would be the one to come away with their sole offensive touchdown on the day as he brought in this beautiful end zone snag near the pylon to bring the game back to a 1-score deficit. Their most dynamic weapon, however, was running back DeAndre Swift. We knew this offensive line was going to help him feast on the ground, which he did indeed do, finishing with 60 yards. But he also made a huge impact in the receiving game as with 5 catches, he tacked on another 46. But this game featured great rushing efforts on both sides as we called upon our pair of rushers in James Conner and Tyson Williams, and 20-plus carries later, they would combine for over 100 yards on the day, and Conner would be the one to punch in the late touchdown to put them up by 14, which they would carry through to the end. Every team in the NFL knows your running and passing attack go hand in hand, and we exemplified that as Colt McCoy put together yet another great performance. Besides the one brutal interception, he finished his day throwing for just under 300 yards, and he also tossed in 2 scores as well. His first went the way of Rondale Moore, who took advantage of a blown coverage, and he found him wide open so he could take it 59 yards for the touchdown midway through the second quarter. And the other went the way of none other than the red zone threat himself, Trey McBride. He has been our go-to target this year when we get inside the 20, and he rewarded us once more as a perfect location by McCoy finds his hands to cap off his 55-yard performance. Both defenses made significant contributions to this game besides the aforementioned pair of pick sixes. One of the best defenders for Philly was the veteran linebacker Deion Jones. He led them in tackles with 9, and he was continuously involved in stopping our rushers. Maybe our best run defenders today was safety Jalen Thompson. He finished with 8 tackles on the day, with 2 of them dropping Philadelphia behind the line for a loss. Another veteran, Xavier Rhodes, also helped out against the run, as playing close to the line all day, he finished with 9 tackles himself with 1 TFL as well. Possibly our best defensive performance, however, was none other than our breakout linebacker, Zaven Collins. He was overall leading tackler with 13, with half of them being solo wrap-ups, and he even got to Hurts on the blitz to add on with a sack as well. Speaking of sacks, between both quarterbacks, we saw 8 on the day, so let's recognize how the Eagles got home. We begin with the former Pro Bowler, Josh Sweat. He made his mark impacting the passing attack all day by creating pressure, and on the first drive of the second half, he got home on 2 separate occasions. In his 14th season, defensive end Brandon Graham also got in on the fun as he dropped McCoy to force a very long field goal try during the second quarter. Speaking of field goals, our own Matt Prater was phenomenal today as he nailed both a 58-yarder and a 59-yarder as he was responsible for 13 points in total on the day. Now switching to the Arizona pass rush. They waited to get going late, but one of our unsung heroes, LJ Collier, got a hold of Hurts as he tried to escape to force the field goal try at the end of the third quarter. One of the most dominant plays of the afternoon was this one made by Clelin Ferrell, as he won up the middle, fighting through the double team from Dickerson and the Hall of Fame center Kelsey, and he got home to drop Hurts once more. Our potential Defensive Rookie of the Year, B.J. Ojulari, had a phenomenal performance as he made 2 nice plays in coverage, including this one, in which he made a deflection while engaged in a block, but then he also made back-to-back plays where he took down Hurts as they were running the 2-minute drill, and then he combined with Antonio Hamilton on the very next play, who knocks the ball loose so Bryce Huff can scoop it up and clinch the game for us. And after the conclusion of this game, we received word that our own Marco Wilson was named NFC Defensive Player of the Week, a great achievement to continue to build momentum towards the playoffs. We then checked the results as we know how vital the result of the Cowboys game is, and they did indeed squeeze out a 26-21 victory against Detroit. Dak Prescott did his best to blow this game as he threw 2 picks in this one, but a great defensive effort capped off by a Micah Parsons safety helped secure yet another win for Dallas. Looking at the team records, both us and Dallas sit tied at 13-3 for the top of the NFC, but their win over us back in Week 3 gives them the edge. So looking forward to this upcoming week, Dallas will be playing at 1 against the Washington Commanders, a team who they are very favored to win against, but you never know how a division rivalry will go. We play our game at 4:25, meaning we will have our starting unit playing for the beginning of our season finale, but we should receive word on the result of the Cowboys game very early, and if they win, we will be playing almost all backups as we will have nothing to gain from the game. And in my hopes we would get some kind of luck, I checked over the injury report and Dallas is completely healthy for their regular season's final game. Now, back to this week's business. We talked about him being an unsung hero for us, so we decided to try to work out a new contract for the 27-year-old LJ Collier, whose contract expires at the end of this year. We offered a simple 1-year, $2.8 million deal, earning $1.4 million a year in salary, and he rejected it, saying he needs a bigger offer to overcome this team not being a fit for him, and that may very well quickly end all negotiations between us. As we head into our final week of action, now is the time to look at our yearly award standings heading into our final slate of games. Patrick Mahomes looks to be the new favorite for MVP. We look to be in line for the Coach of the Year. The NFC Offensive Player of the Year favorite is the man we just defeated, Jalen Hurts. The defensive side of it looks to be headlined by Micah Parsons, who's been essential to them getting so far. It looks as though Atlanta's Bijan Robinson may be walking away with Offensive Rookie of the Year honors, but our own Michael Wilson is still in the hunt, sitting at number 3. We love to see this. Our own B.J. Ojulari is currently in pole position for Defensive Rookie of the Year, with Garrett Wilson just 2 spots behind him at 3. Hurts also logically sits as the best quarterback. Best running back thus far looks to be Christian McCaffrey, to no one's surprise. Another division rival on the board as the Rams' Cooper Kupp looks in good position to take home best receiver, but Hollywood does have himself snuck in at 10. The best offensive lineman going into our last week looks to be Tampa Bay's Ryan Jensen, but our own Elijah Wilkinson sits at 3, and our rookie tackle Paris Johnson Jr. sits at 5. Again, logically, Micah Parsons looks to be the best defensive lineman, but we round out the bottom of the list as Clelin Ferrell and Bryce Huff sit at 7 and 9 respectively. The best linebacker looks to be Danielle Hunter from Minnesota, but our rookie Ojulari sits at 3. The best defensive back thus far looks to be the Packers' Jair Alexander, but we are dominating this list as Xavier Rhodes sits at 2, Marco Wilson sits at 6, and Jalen Thompson sits at 10. And to finish it off, Dallas's Cairo Santos leads the way for best kicker, while our own Matt Prater sits at 7. Now is the time to look at the news headlines for around the week, and many of them revolve around the various teams making final wildcard pushes. Chicago's Dalvin Cook has had yet another amazing performance as he punched in 3 touchdowns against Atlanta. Now they have a tied record with their division-leading Detroit Lions. But now the NFC North will get real interesting as the Bears now have to head into Lambeau to take on the Packers, who not only have the NFL's leading tackler in Devondre Campbell and are getting back defensive tackle Kenny Clark from injury, but Green Bay is also just 1 game back from the division lead, and a Week 18 win could find them into the playoffs. The Bucs will also be getting healthier as they will be getting back Chris Godwin, and that is massive as they are eyeing a massive game against Carolina in which the winner will take the NFC South and the loser will miss the playoffs entirely. On the AFC side, the Bills will be getting back star safety Micah Hyde for their massive divisional clash as they are 1 game back against the division leader Dolphins, who they go up against. And if they win, they should be able to take the division crown, and there is a chance a loss could knock Miami out of the playoffs entirely. And in not so positive news, the Chargers have lost their tight end Gerald Everett, who is placed on IR this week, and he will be missing their matchup against Kansas City. A win is essential for both sides, as if the Chiefs win, they could possibly get the 1 seed, but if Los Angeles wins, they could sneak in one of those final wildcard spots. We then had some staff points to spend, so we moved over to the coaching talent trees, and under the offensive development tab for our head coach, we bought the 2nd tier of Road Grader, which will increase XP gains for left and right guards in training by 10%. We know a priority this offseason is going to be to continue to upgrade our offensive line, and that may very well mean getting some young linemen developed. But now is the time we can look forward to our upcoming game as we return home to take on our division rival Seattle Seahawks in a rematch from our clash all the way back in Week 7. Since we already know their roster from earlier this year, let's discuss that last matchup. The last time we met, we came away with a 24-16 win. It was a close battle in which the defense made all the difference. Clelin Ferrell had a dominant showing in which he finished with 2 sacks and he forced a fumble as well. But it was the Seattle pass rush who sacked Colt McCoy 5 times in a team effort by Ngakoue, Morris, Love, and Bush. We locked down Geno Smith as he completed a mere 53% of his passes, and the defining player of the game was none other than Jalen Thompson, who intercepted one of those throws and took it back 29 yards for the pick 6. Looking at their injury report, it looks as though they will be fully healthy and ready to go. So now we can set up our game plan for this upcoming matchup. Starting on defense, we want to contain the outside run. Kenneth Walker is a great young player who currently has the 9th most yards in the league when running to the outside, where he can get into space, so we want to try to hold it inside. And then on offense, we simply want to throw it short. This is a menacing defense with great corners, great safeties, and great linebackers. And last time, we saw their pass rush stepped up as well. So our strategy will be to keep our throws short and quick to get the ball out of McCoy's hands and keep it simple. And now we can set our game day goals for the week. First, we want to win the turnover battle. In our last meeting, we saw a big time turnover being the key difference, and if we want to get the win in this competitive game, we have to get the edge in this category. Next, we want to get 250 or more offensive yards. We know this defense will be tough to go up against, and we can only hope our defense steps up as well. In that mindset, the goal after that will be to allow 20 points or less. If we can keep Geno contained like we did last time and limit his connections with Lockett and Metcalf, we should have a good shot at holding them low. And lastly, we want to get an interception. We saw how vital that pick was last time, and maybe we could have a big one this time around as well. We then finished up practice for the week, and we did receive news of yet another unfortunate injury. Hollywood Brown left practice early with a dislocated shoulder. Now, our training staff has relocated it, and it's simply as a precaution, he'll be out for our regular season finale. And after that, we have discussed everything we have needed to for this week. If you guys enjoyed, remember to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notifications down below, and I will see you all next time as we return home in a rematch to take on the Seahawks with a potential number 1 seed on the line.